Attorneys for a 10-year-old boy charged accused of killing his own mother last month, now as an adult, pushed the judge today to lower his bail. Bruce Harrison was inside the courtroom.
This was the first in-person hearing for the boy, and it's odd, if not troubling or jarring, to see grown men, deputies, walk a small child into a courtroom wearing a detention center issued T-shirt. But the fact is, he's accused of a terrible crime, and he's been charged as an adult. The 10-year-old, throughout most of the hearing, sat quietly with his head down.
You understand we're in juvenile court, but this is an adult court proceeding.
Prosecutors have charged him with first-degree intentional homicide. Records indicate he shot his mother in the face after refusing to buy him a virtual reality headset.
The complaint alleges that the victim was shot at very close range in the head.
On Wednesday, the boy's attorneys asked the court to drop a second count of reckless homicide, calling it redundant. That will be decided next month. They've also asked bail be reduced to $100, the only money they say the boy has.
My team and I have spoken with him about his ability to post anything. He told us about piggy banks with savings that he had from gifts, from birthday gifts, and scavenging through cushions in the couch that he's been able to save up.
The judge did not reduce bail, keeping it at $50,000. If the boy is unable to post bail, he may remain in custody now and for the rest of his life if convicted of intentional homicide. Reporting in Wauwatosa, Bruce Harrison, TMJ4 News.
Welcome to The Factor Uncensored. Thank you for joining us tonight. A Wisconsin family's world has been turned upside down. A 10-year-old is accused of shooting and killing his mother on November 21st. According to investigators, he was upset with his mother, Kiana Mann, who would not buy him a virtual reality headset off of Amazon. So he put a bullet in his mother's head, killed her. The criminal complaint shares even more disturbing details. He apparently used his dead mother's account to buy an Oculus virtual reality headset and asked his grandmother if his package had arrived. The 10-year-old is facing serious consequences. He is charged as an adult with first-degree reckless homicide. Sadly, his older sister told police he had always had rage issues. Let's bring in my first guest here on The Factor Uncensored tonight, Fort Bend County Chief Jimmy Evans and therapist Holly Lee McCann. Just mind-blowing that a child could be, I guess the best word to describe it is cold. Cold.
Yes.
Yes.
And that is a description for the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, 5th edition, of reactive attachment disorder, where you are just unable to bond with others and have empathy. And that is exactly some of the features that, from what I read of this case, that child may have been diagnosed with. They did say that he was in therapy for some serious disorders, but they didn't say which ones. So I have a little list of what could possibly have been, the result of that assessment.
There are some kids who are just born this way. They don't necessarily have to learn this behavior, right?
Well, in some cases, an argument could be made. But in other cases, when I did some research on juveniles who commit violent crimes, presuming the number of children that have trauma, the study that I read was from 2008. It was at least 70% of those juveniles had experienced some sort of trauma. So just because you have a mental disorder does not mean that you would go out and commit a violent crime, especially one as heinous as shooting your own mother point blank range in the head.
Chief, are you blown away when you hear the details of this case where a kid pulled out a gun, shot his mother, shot and killed his mother because she wouldn't buy him a toy?
Yes, I am. It's a very tragic incident, and it's unbelievable at 10 years old and didn't show any remorse. According to the news reports, he didn't show any remorse. He shot his mom in cold blood. And also, according to the news reports, he even logged on the next day, logged on to his mom's account to see if his package had arrived. There's no remorse at all. And in the state of Texas, the minimum age that you can that a juvenile could be charged is 10 years old. And this would occur in the state of Texas. Of course, the juvenile system is very complex, but based on what I'm seeing here, that he probably would have been charged also in the state of Texas.
What do you think he needs? Does he need intense therapy, mental health help, or should he just be locked up?
No, I think just according to the news report, there were some issues with him acting in a rage. I think with assistance from the schools and the health professions and, to do a very thorough assessment of this child. And if he needs some mental assessment, assessment and help, then let's try to go that route first. And if we can prove that the child is suffering from mental illness, then go that route instead of going with the punishment and being put into the criminal justice system.
And Holly, when you see these signs where you have a child in your house who is cold, who has no feelings, what should a parent do before it comes to something like this where he puts a bullet in the head of his mother because he couldn't get a game?
Well, when I was reading a little bit more and looking at some other stories regarding this case, learned a few things. That this child, as you said, had rage issues their whole life, that he also had a history of animal cruelty, which is a big,
That's sign number one.
big sign that
If you watch Dahmer, that's sign number one.
Yes. And so those behaviors are things that parents need to pay attention to when children are aggressive with others, when they make those threats. Children who are victims of bullying, if a child has experienced any sort of trauma, it could be complex trauma as well, where they've experienced it consistently throughout their lives. And maybe it's a way of life because of family dysfunction. We don't know a lot about this family, but what we do know is that they knew that they had a child living in their home who had severe mental health issues. One of the reports said that the therapist recommended that they have cameras in the home for security, but 2 weeks before this incident, the cameras were disconnected. So I'm not sure if they felt it was unnecessary or if it was done, without the therapist's consent.
There is no way you should ignore those signs.
Absolutely.
And that's key for parents out there.
Absolutely.
Do not ignore the signs, especially if you have a child who is not showing any emotion or is showing rage constantly.
Yes.
Thank you both for joining us here on The Fact.
This is the best time of the year to play World of Tanks.
Play for free and get tons of gifts.
Patrick, that 10-year-old boy in police custody tonight, if convicted of killing his mom, he faces 60 years in prison. Tonight, we talked to a neighbor who took us back to that morning, and he said what he heard, he won't soon forget.
The only thing I heard was the screaming.
The screaming. Is that going to stick with you, what you heard?
Yeah, because it's something that, I really didn't expect so early in the morning. I thought they were just, they were arguing or something, but the scream, you can feel it.
A neighbor sharing details about the morning of November 21st near 87th and Magnolia. According to a criminal complaint, Kiana Mann's 10-year-old son shot her in the face at close range, killing her. The boy said his mom would not allow him to have something from Amazon that he wanted. He also admitted to being mad at her for waking him up at 6 a.m. when he usually sleeps until 6:30. The complaint also goes on to say the day after the boy is accused of killing his mom, he went on her Amazon account and ordered a virtual reality headset. He also allegedly apologized for the shooting, saying, "I'm sorry for killing my mom," then asked if this Amazon package arrived. The boy is charged as an adult with first-degree reckless homicide.
You don't want something like this to happen to anyone at all. She's a really nice lady. So from what I can tell you guys, that she's really sweet and a nice lady.
A GoFundMe account describes Mann as a mother of four who was compassionate, loving and kind,
Really heartbreaking to see
with a smile that could light up a room.
someone who lives in your neighborhood, and something unfortunate that happened really breaks your heart.
Kristen, in the criminal complaint, some of the child's family members indicated that he had a troubled past.
Patrick, family members told police the 10-year-old boy was seeing a therapist. They also said his mom was receiving daily reports from his school about his behavior. They also told police that when the boy was 4 years old, he took a puppy by its tail and swung it around until it cried out in pain.
Hi, dropshippers. It's time to focus on what you do best. So go to Wix.com/dropshipping and grow your business with an e-commerce platform that takes care of.
We've been pretty much just shaken to our core.
The headline went viral. A 10-year-old boy accused of killing his mother over a virtual reality headset. Now, this family wants to set the record straight.
I think the biggest misconception is that it was over a VR Oculus headset.
This Milwaukee family suddenly thrust into the national spotlight.
Some days are better than others.
We're not naming the boy per a court order. Last month, prosecutors charged the fourth grader as an adult with intentional homicide for the deadly shooting of his mother, Kiana Mann.
He calls daily, and we have talks. He's not expressed any remorse to me.
For the first time, Mann's sister and mother speaking exclusively with 12 News.
Everybody loved her.
Did you ever think your grandson, your nephew, would be capable of something like this?
But I knew he was capable of something, but not this harsh.
At the time of the tragedy, they say he was in treatment for behavioral issues.
It was recommended by his treatment providers that cell phones, electronic devices be limited because of the violent games that he was playing. So she was literally following his treatment plan when she decided to take his electronic devices. And that is what upset him.
Now, the boy remains locked up in the juvenile detention center, awaiting his next court appearance. And it's exactly where his aunt and grandmother say he belongs.
We just don't know what his mental state is and what he's capable of.
We have to sleep at night, and he's a roamer. He likes to roam at night. So I don't know. I'd be a little scared.
In Milwaukee, Hillary Mintz, WISN 12 News.
The family tells 12 News they do not object to prosecutors charging the boy as an adult. The 10-year-old is the youngest of Mann's 4 children.
Welcome to The Factor.